myself to.
Oh wow, is this a new thing? I can't do that because I'm eating.
Are we live now?
We are live.
Welcome back to another episode of Dubious Intellectual Yabbering. All right.
Hoorah! As they say in Russian.
What do you guys want to talk about today?
Lots of options to talk about.
It's cold. Wait. I need to acquire a hat.
Okay, should I wait? Danny, what are your thoughts on bonding by activity? We talked a lot last week, 2 weeks ago about friendship. Nice hat, Yue.
Thank you.
My
friend made it for me.
Oh. How do you feel about the method of bonding by activity and friendship by activity?
Sorry, what's the question? My thoughts on activities for bonding?
So we talked a lot last week about like friendship and like talking about things with people and like conversational topics, right? No. I think we talked 3 weeks ago about friendship. 2 weeks ago about conversation. And 1 week ago we did not have it. So today I want to talk about one of the other aspects of friendship, or at least a little bit. We don't have to do this the whole episode. But I want to talk about like activity bonding. So you make a friend in your class, you're friends with someone because you're on the same soccer team as them, right? Things like this. What are your thoughts on it? Is it less or more effective of a friendship bonding technique? Does it have the same amount of meaning? Can it lead into other forms of friendship? Give me the whole rundown.
What's the alternative? So bonding as in like just getting closer to like each other, right?
The alternative, I understand. There's think of like dates, right? So there's a date that you can go on where you go see a movie, and there's a date where you can go on where you go get coffee and chat, right? The movie, you can't really talk, but it provides a shared experience for which you to engage with the other person. The chatting, you just like, the coffee, you talk, right? So we're talking about the movie side. Another way to ask this question is, what do you think of movies as first dates?
Boo.
I don't know. I want to let you go first.
All right. Yeah, give it to us.
I think that I prefer coffee chat methods of forming friendships as opposed to activity methods of forming friendships. Although I think both are good in their own ways. Because let's say that you have a person that you're not like super intent on becoming friends with, but you both have similar interests and you don't really have anyone else to partake of those interests with, then sometimes it might be fun to go hiking with a hiking friend or go rock climbing with a rock climbing friend. And you don't have to be like super close friends. You just have to be able to interact over your shared hobby and enjoy yourselves while doing the shared activity. Whereas, say, you may have a friend that you want to become, like talking about your feelings friends with. That may be better facilitated if you go to a cafe and have coffee.
I have a follow-up question once Danny answers. Please remind me when we get to that point in case I forget.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that like I would probably prefer like coffee chats, right? Or some more involved activity with at least like some conversation rather than just like a movie. I don't know. I feel like I don't have that much else to add right now.
I have a question. How do you feel about a conversational activity such as like an escape room? This is just a total...
Escape rooms are not conversational activities.
That's what I mean. You're talking during an escape room, but you're talking about the escape room as opposed to... Yeah.
I would treat those the same as like non-conversational activities? Because I feel like if you're doing an activity, of course you're going to talk with the other person about the activity.
What do you think,
I think
Danny?
just in an escape room, it's a little more involved talking.
Um, I feel like escape rooms maybe a little bit more in the middle to me, because like I can go on and tell her like a story about like how my roommate made his own escape rooms and stuff. And like as you're walking to and from the escape room, there's still like opportunities to talk and you kind of like reflect on like how you view the activity and stuff. So
I agree with Danny. I think escape rooms are better first dates than movies because even though it's an activity, a movie is a passive activity where you don't learn anything new about the other person, while an escape room you can learn a lot about the other person.
Okay, I was thinking about this in terms of like friendships because I did a non-romantic friendship escape room today.
wait, what?
So did I.
Yeah.
Take that. Danny,
Danny, have we ever done an escape room together?
I've done an escape room with Danny.
Yeah, I've done an escape room with Ian. I was not very good.
If I remember correctly, I also was pretty bad. I think I perhaps got one clue. I think everything else I didn't do. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, we rushed. It was the one where like we were stuck basically the whole game, and then we just like zoomed through at the end.
Who was it with?
It was with like STC.
It was freshman year.
Oh wait, I think I've
Might have
seen
been.
Facebook pictures of
I have
this.
like a picture of it.
Yeah. It was freshman year when we went out to Center City, right? We had like
Yeah.
that was I don't remember the group, but yeah, I did not do much either. Yeah. I hung back. Okay, I gotta remember my follow-up question now. I
Oh, that
remember.
wasn't your follow-up question?
No, that wasn't my follow-up question. My follow-up question. So you guys have both just kind of maligned activity friendship as compared to sitting and talking, or at least like doing activities as a way of bonding versus just chatting. I take some issue with this because I think that if you build your friendships just on chatting, there's sometimes a lot less concreteness to your reasoning for being friends, right? So do you think that shared activities, shared hobbies can enhance friendships? And are they necessary, right?
That's an interesting question.
For a deeper friendship, yeah.
I would like to start off by saying that I don't necessarily agree with your premise that it's difficult to find reasons to be friends with people if you only have a talking friendship. Because I feel like in a talking friendship, you can get to understand each other a little better as people. And you're also able to better determine if there is a relationship of like mutual emotional support, which is something that you kind of need from friends. So take that.
I had you saying in my head when I was thinking of saying this that that type of friendship you can find someone's shared sensibilities. That's what I imagined you were going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think as with like romantic relationships, you start off by figuring out whether or not your personalities are compatible, and then in order to sort of bring something exciting to an established friendship that may begin to feel stale, you go out and do activities, and then you have like new memories that you can continue to talk about, as well as sort of the emotional factor of the friendship. So I think that activities are useful.
Danny, thoughts?
Ian, I feel like we don't have that many activities in common, do we? I feel like at the moment we're just like talking friends, essentially, right? Because
Yeah,
I don't
think
play
so.
games. I feel like I feel like with myself, like a major downfall is I don't play any games that like people play.
I don't. So I'll say that that's like too bad because I'd love to play games with you, but I also don't view that as a problem in your person because games can also be a bit of a time waster. I think the bigger issue is that we're distant physically.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to just in any relationship or friendship to really do things. Like me and Iwe, we don't really like. Sometimes we do things. Sometimes we go and I don't know, play a video game or something. But generally, we just talk because it's so far away and it's just not even worth it.
Yeah. When I think about like my friendships, right? Like I feel like most of them, I don't know, I feel like maybe it's just a me thing, but
You're a
I
talker.
like sorry,
You're a talker.
yeah, like most of my friendships don't really have any shared activities that much. Cause I mostly just spend my time alone anyways. So I don't spend a lot of time with
Well, you used
other
to have
people.
activity-based friendships.
Huh?
You used to have activity-based friendships,
Like what?
like playing Smash,
Um,
right?
Danny
with like
about to say
Yusuf
all
and
the people
stuff.
he played Smash with weren't actually his friends.
Yeah, with Yusuf and your roommates in sophomore year, and me.
The way I view is that like the activity like Smash wasn't like what brought the what brought
Oh,
the friendship together. Like I was
yeah.
already friends with them
Okay.
in other circumstances,
Yeah.
rather so, like be forced to live with Yusuf or something, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was just like something to do together, I guess.
That's I understand your point. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, then my follow up to that is so I agree that and I think in my own mind a lot of my friendships are formed not through like a lot of my actual friendships are not formed through a activity basis, but they're most often formed through like a shared sensibility basis and then doing activities. I'd say one of the few exceptions to that, and this person I'm not very close to,
Mhm.
Noah Moyes. I like Noah Moyes a lot, and I feel like we share sensibilities together, and I enjoy spending time with him. But I think that that was started as a shared activity, really, before I grew to think it was a shared sensibility.
What is shared sensibility?
It's just like I understand the person, and it's like this is chill. Do you know
How
what
do
I
you
mean?
find someone with shared sensibility?
I it's very hard for me to. I think a lot of people I understand, and then a shared sensibility is usually something a little farther of that than that. So, but I don't necessarily know how I find someone. I know it's a lot easier for me to pick out people that I don't share sensibilities with, where it's like I'm like I don't get this person. Oh, I can't remember her name, but I was just talking about her today. I saw Julie today, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Julie. She lives in Boston now, so we were hanging out. But I was just talking about her with Julie, who is in freshman year. Danny, we were friends with. She was in ISP. She she was tall and had black hair, and was closer friends with Yusuf than us, and was always doing some crazy crap. Um, she would smoke her jewel in the common area.
Oh, Marianne.
Marianne, that was her name. God, I can't believe I forgot her name. Uh, yeah, I don't think I have a shared sensibility with Marianne because, like, when I was in a room with Marianne, I was unable to predict what her mood would be or what she would do slash say.
Maybe she's just on drugs. Who knows?
I could have been, yeah, but usually I can look at someone and be like, I understand like their mood and their um, uh, what they're gonna do, right? And it was like not having my glasses on, right? It's usually I can just tell by seeing people,
Mhm.
but so I don't know. Does that make any sense? All right, that was my topic. Someone else think of something. I was curious.
Okay, so I have a question. So, what is your morning routine, or what is your daily routine slash what is the ideal routine?
Dangerous question to ask, Danny. Very
That's
dangerous
dangerous.
question.
Why is that dangerous?
Ouch. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go
I feel like that's
first?
an easy question.
My morning routine, my daily routine rather, consists of waking up at the last possible minute before I have to leave the house. So maybe like 10 minutes before I have to leave the house. Um, Actually, no, let me backtrack. My daily routine consists of my alarm going off maybe 30 minutes before I have to leave the house and me snoozing it until it gets to about 10 minutes before I have to leave the house, at which point I get out of bed, do all my waking up things, inevitably late, have to speed walk to wherever I need to get to, make it just in time or maybe like a minute or two late. And then I do those things, come back, eat food, do schoolwork slash procrastinate on doing schoolwork. And then at midnight, I do the Wordle, Quaddle, Octodle, Gwaldle, Global. I think I've stopped doing the Nerdle with Wendy and B. And then I procrastinate from going to sleep by reading things on my phone for, 2 hours, and then I go to sleep. This is not the ideal daily routine, by the way.
So I'm not going to give you my full daily routine because it changes from day to day.
Okay.
That's a cool box you have there, by the way.
Yeah, isn't this a really cool box? Do you want to see? Look at that.
It's like a puzzle box.
It's a puzzle box, yeah.
You should show Danny the top of the box.
So you see the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now watch. Do you see that?
Like opened up.
Yeah, it opens up.
Wow.
Yeah, and the box also opens up here. So this is just like a secret compartment. So I'm gonna say generally about these types of things. My first thought is that I believe that humans are habit-driven beings, and I believe that one of the best ways to achieve your goals is to form habits around your goals. Saying that, habit formation is extremely hard, and it's very easy to form bad habits. So this is 100% true, but even knowing that it's 100% true, it's still very difficult. The second thing I'm going to say is, ironically, I had the best sleep schedule I've had when we were living together, Danny, in freshman year, which I hated because your alarms went off all the time, and I realize it has ruined me now. But back then was my peak sleep schedule, right? Because I was a one alarm person, and since then I've gotten worse and worse and worse. And I can fix it. I just need to. It's something that I got to do. The third thing I'll say is that there's a YouTube video that I would recommend to you. I'll put it in the chat actually. Let me find it. It's you can look at it at some point. I don't know if I've sent it to you already, but
is it that person who wakes up at 5 a.m. that has things they look forward to?
It inspired me actually to start waking up early and do things in the morning, and I haven't done that consistently.
Day to help you
forever.
achieve that habit.
But when I first watched the video, I managed to keep it going for a couple months. Since then, I do periodically get better about it. Currently, I'm not in a cycle where I'm better about it, but sometimes I get to the cycle where I'm better about it. And I think the guy is spot on with a lot of his habit formation things. So if you want to, you don't have to watch it right now, but if you want to learn how to be a morning person, I would watch this video.
I feel like yeah.
What'd you say?
I feel like you've gone on for a while without getting your daily routine.
You feel like I've gone on without giving my daily routine?
Yeah.
You want my daily routine? So I wake up at between 7 and 7:40. No, 7 and 7:30. 6:30 and 7:30, depending on what cycle I'm in, essentially. If I'm in a good cycle where I'm going to sleep at 10, I usually wake up between 6 and 6:30. I do something for an hour. I have had times over the last 6 months while I've been living up in Manchester and working by myself where I do video editing or I do actual productive things, but most of the time I just do fun things in the morning, because if I'm waking up early, why not do fun things, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a while I was doing writing though. That was a week or two. And if I'm on a bad cycle, I usually wake up at 7:30 because I have to get to work at 8, and I just get up and I go to work. And if I wake up at 6:30, I get up and I go to work. I get up, do my stuff, and then I go to work at like 7:30, 7:45. I get to work. I work until I work the morning until 1 p.m. Then I do a lunch thing. Usually I play a board game. Then I continue working until 5, and at 5 I'll come home. Most of the time I then just straight make dinner. If I've planned on going to the grocery store ahead of time, I will go to the grocery store at 5 p.m. because I like to finish work and then go to the grocery store and go home. I don't like to go home, go to the grocery store, go back home, and I don't like it at all. And after that, then I make dinner, and then I make dinner, I eat dinner. I have recently started listening to podcasts while I'm cooking, which is kind of nice. Makes me feel like the cooking isn't a waste of time. And then I play video games or do whatever thing I'm working on that week, which seems to change week to week, until 9, maybe 10. And then I usually go into bed, and I either watch YouTube videos on my phone, or recently I've been playing Hades, which is a game on the Switch, and I do like bed games, essentially. I have the games that I would play from like 7 to 9 is usually like TFT or something on my computer. But by 9 or 10, I like to be in bed. And at various times, I've been reading books before I go to bed, but I'm not currently, and I think I should. It helps me go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, so is you guys' daily routine like pretty close to your idea of what an ideal daily routine is?
Not currently.
Like, what are some like considerations for like daily routines?
Like an ideal daily routine?
Yeah.
Sleeping enough.
What? Sleeping more or less?
Sleeping enough.
Sleeping enough?
Yeah.
Oh.
As a person, I don't know if either of you have to sympathize with me. As a person who has to wake up, who has work at 8 a.m. every day, I can't do the crazy schedules that you guys can pull. So.
I have a normal schedule, just so you know. I'll know here soon.
But I can't. But you can do a crazy schedule. I can.
Sometimes I stay out watching job.
Yeah, I know. So doing that like really ruins my whole it ruins like a whole week, you know. So and then I'm catching up all week, and it really sucks. And I've noticed that my mood is better when I sleep. So sleeping enough is the most important consideration, and the second most important consideration is being productive at least a little bit. And I usually like to feel I've been productive at the end of the day, like at least once during the day. So
when you say like feel productive, do you mean like something towards like your writing, or like does work satisfy that or not?
Work does not satisfy it. Really anything of my personal projects. So, and some days I feel productive and some days I do not.
Do you feel like you have enough time to be both productive and like have time to relax, whereas like you still have to pick one or the other?
I definitely have enough time.
Mm-hmm.
I just sometimes relax too much. So, but I definitely do have enough time. I wish I had more time, but yeah, I could be productive enough to feel productive. I don't know if I could be productive enough as I would want to, right? Because there's a big difference. I would feel productive if I do something for a half an hour, but ideally, like, I would like to make more progress than I'm currently making. And I can also feel productive even if I don't do anything productive if the day was particularly long or arduous. Like if I have to go to the grocery store and then cook something involved, and I end up finishing cooking at 7:30 or 8, and then I don't do anything productive that day, that doesn't bother me too much. I don't lose any sleep over it. Why? What is your schedule? Tell us.
Oh, my schedule. I mean, there's some variability, but it's been like generally pretty similar these past few months. I sleep for like 9 hours at like 12.
Oh, that's
Get
good.
up at get up at like 9, right? And then I give myself like 30 minutes to like brush my teeth, stretch, etc. Sometimes I open my phone for too long. I feel like I do that a lot throughout my day. Um, yeah, and then I give myself like 2 hours to walk to and back from the gym. And then from there, I study like whatever I'm studying, usually it's computer science or something related, for like a few hours, and then I'll study like Japanese for like an hour and a half probably. Um, yeah, and then I take a break. Usually, like I like to just go on walks and stuff outside, and then I take a shower, eat food. Um, and then around then it's like nighttime, so usually it'll either be so I don't like to do any more studying once it's nighttime. So I usually just like to read or watch some show or whatever other stuff, you know. Mostly just reading. Yeah, and then I go to sleep around 12.
That sounds like an awesome schedule. I'm jealous.
Likewise.
I think it's probably because I don't have work.
I would
So
probably spend less time going to the gym. That would be the thing I would change.
Danny, would you go to a climbing gym with me?
climbing gym, I think you asked this before. I would be willing to try it out.
Yeah,
Probably wouldn't be very good.
Danny is in Philadelphia. Why don't you just like do this? Do this.
Mm.
This way, I don't have to go to a climbing gym. Thank you, Danny.
I'll climb for Ian.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we did talk about this a couple weeks ago, where Danny was like, "I'll climb if Ian climbs."
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I
I
don't want
guess
to climb, Danny. You should change your thought process and climb if I don't climb.
mm.
I'll think about it.
What a good question.
Oh. I would like more sleep in my daily routine.
Like more sleep.
Mm.
Mm. Wait, didn't you say you got 9 hours or no?
Mm. I'll usually go to bed at like, I don't know, 3 a.m. Then I'll wake up maybe 11. So I guess it is 8 hours. It just doesn't feel good. Maybe I should go to sleep earlier.
When I'll say this, when Iway and I are in the same place, she sleeps better and I sleep worse in terms of our relative schedules. She will get on a good schedule, and I will sleep worse.
Didn't you all used to like taking out a lot of naps too throughout the day?
I used to have a nap schedule. Yes, that was in sophomore year. You talking about me or Iway?
I was remembering Eway always sleeping, but
Iway slept.
Yeah, I took a lot of naps at the Kelly Writer's house.
oh,
Did
okay.
you? I don't remember that.
Mm.
This was early days.
I used to take a nap almost every not when we were living together, Danny, but the year after that in sophomore year. I used to take a nap every day. One time I slept through my English class.
Okay, I have like a follow-up question to like figuring out a good morning daily routine, right? Do you guys like when you guys go to work, right? Or like or for Ian, I guess at least. When you go to work, do you feel like drained afterwards, like mentally, or no?
Um, yeah, I do. That was why one of the best schedules I've had so far, and probably my ideal schedule. It doesn't work because other people don't go to sleep early, but my ideal schedule would be to go to sleep at 10, which is what I'm always striving to do, and then wake up at 6, and
Mhm.
then do my own work, like do my own personal projects from 6 to 7:30, and then go to work. And that also would energize me for the whole day because then I'm like, I've already completed all of my personal projects. Like, I am so ahead on the day. But oftentimes I do feel drained when I get home from work. Um, I generally feel better if I cook, like, once I cook, because cooking does not drain me, and usually after I eat something that I cooked, especially if it's something like that's interesting or more involved than just like rice, I usually feel better. Not even just because of the food, but just because I'm just like, wow, I just did that. That's great, and then I feel a little less drained. But the worst is when I don't cook immediately when I get home, and then my whole evening is done because I feel very drained from work, and I'm thinking that I have to cook. I'm thinking ahead to, oh, I have to go and cook, so it's like my whole evening's done. But yeah, I do feel drained. Not always, but sometimes.
Mm.
So I would say that I don't think I feel as drained from work, but I also think it's something to do with when it's dark outside. I agree with you that it's like once it's so late and so close to when I'm sleeping, I'm kind of like, let's just go to the next day. Why do you ask?
I was just thinking about, so it's like since I don't really have a job yet, I sort of like just plan my own
Mm-hmm.
schedule however I want. And like so I can like usually like just like plan out however many hours, right? I want
Mm-hmm.
to study something that I'm interested. I feel like sometimes I just get like really like kind of drained afterwards, like without breaks or with like small breaks, which is why I go on like these walks. I feel like I have like a theory that like maybe it's good sometimes as part of the daily routine to have like either have like sections of time where you're like consuming information, right? Whether that's from studying and stuff. And then you have like a time where it's like use like other brain systems like diffuse mode or whatever, where like you don't think like analytically, where like you don't have to think too hard about things, right? So I feel like video games and stuff could fall into that category.
Mm.
Yeah, but sometimes I choose like reading as a hobby, and then for me, reading is like takes a lot at least some like for me at least like some level of focus. So I don't feel like as relaxing while I'm reading, even if I enjoy what I'm reading. So
I do agree with that. I I say though, reading for me is different, and it falls in this like kind of nebulous category because I think there's a category of things that do not drain me, but deciding to do them is draining. So reading, if I start reading, I'm very much not drained, and it's very like I don't I it's not the studying type of consuming information. It's like relaxing and turning off my brain. But things like deciding to read or like that is more draining to me. Like it's this thing where in deciding to do the thing is harder than doing the thing. It's like exercising. I feel the same way about exercising. I think whenever I actually start exercising, it's really not that bad. It's the starting of the exercising that is the hard part. It's the getting out of bed that's the hard part. Once I'm standing up in vertical, I'm like I have no problems at all. But lying in bed thinking of getting out of bed is an issue. And I think that's one of the reasons why habit formation is so powerful because and I think that whole like getting drained thing, it's true to a certain extent, but there's also a certain extent that if you form your habits well enough, you will no longer have that moment of inertia, uh, like draining feeling. And I find that the moments of inertia that are the things that drain me more than actually doing anything.
so you don't think because I think I read before somewhere that like certain writers or whatever, they would have like say they wake up and they write for like 4 hours, and then they'll take like a 2 hour break to like just walk through the woods, do absolutely nothing,
Mm.
and then come back and write again.
I
I think a person who has a habit of just writing straight for like 8 hours would do just as well as that
it
person.
depends on the person. I know Stephen King writes insane amounts, but I agree that for writing it's a little different. Um, uh, like other almost anything else I wouldn't treat that way. Almost anything else I would view it as a moment of inertia. Writing is one of the few things um, where I don't like it's harder to imagine doing that 8 hours a day if I've trained myself to do it. I think that I wouldn't be able to do that. I think I would have to do other. Well, actually, I have in the past, so I definitely can do it. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Wow.
I don't know if I'd be able to do it consistently. Form it into a habit. I think it's because writing is such a thing where in other activities you need a moment of inertia and then you're doing, right? Like with reading, you need to convince yourself to read and then you're just reading, you're going from one line to the next. Writing is essentially and like any act of creation is a sequence of decisions and things that you have to decide upon that you have not encountered before. So habit formation and like it is a sequence of moments of inertia that you have to work through. So I think that can be draining. You can't form a habit of writing because each thing that you're writing is should be different and is unique. That's my thoughts.
Do you have any thoughts? Youch.
Yeah, ouch.
In terms of writing or in terms of habit formation in general?
In general.
Um, I think that habit formation is a lot easier to accomplish if there is somebody else sort of forcing you to form the habit. Yeah.
Hmm. I find it kind of interesting that like we talk about habit formation in terms of like I guess your ideal daily routine. Because like forming a habit kind of sounds like forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do, whereas ideally you would just
Yeah,
want to
you would
spend your
want to
time
do
doing what
it.
you want to.
I think that's a bad. I think that
I think that wants can be different, right? Like you can want something because you know that it's better for you, but in the short term, you can also want what feels best.
Hmm.
You can want both things. It's just the path of least resistance is the thing that is not as difficult to do.
All right. Do you have any more questions or should we wrap it up? It's like 8:45 now.
um. Do you have any questions, Youch? Both me and Danny have asked a question.
Um, I'm kind of sleepy, so my brain is not really operating on question
Sounds
mode.
like you need to form better habits
Yeah.
and get a better schedule.
I'm also looking forward to eating dinner.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think that you'll find it difficult to adjust to a schedule you don't set for yourself, Danny?
Schedule I don't set for myself. Um,
For example, if you start working or doing something that requires you to be at a place from a set hour to a set hour.
yeah, I don't like the idea of it that, you know,
Mm,
that idea of like the 9 to 5 corporate grind. I would like it if a job was just like you have to get a certain amount of tasks done this week. You can
mm.
schedule it however much you want. Um,
I feel like increasingly the people that I've talked to who have jobs that are our age, they've been offered remote jobs. So they can kind of just do anything anywhere, which I think is very interesting.
how do
Um,
you think that'll work long term?
I think in terms of like workplace cohesion, it's probably not going to be super great. So I don't know if it's going to continue long term, although I think it is beneficial for the worker.
Nothing
Um,
say it's probably going to stay long term, at least
Mm.
like a portion of it.
I have been thinking about this a little bit. Mostly because my boss has given me his opinion on it, and I think he has some merit in his opinion. So he thinks that if it stays long term, it's going to end up very badly uh, for workers, specifically American workers.
Because they can just hire overseas people.
Yeah, for like so much cheaper. So,
Thanks.
yeah,
That's
that's
true. I didn't think about that.
kind of his point when we talk about this.
Next level of outsourcing production.
I mean, if you really think about it, skilled labor, like, you can easily get all the skilled labor you need. If everything's remote, it's just easier to get it from somewhere else. It's just cheaper.
Yeah, more competition.
Yeah. So in the end, it could end up being worse for workers, at least in America. They're giving up their only competitive advantage over the rest of the world, which is their location. So, but in the short term, seems pretty nice. Be nice to work remote.
Yeah, I feel like 8 hours a day, it's like the majority of our time you're sacrificing. I don't know.
As someone who's doing it right now, it feels like I'm also working 6 days a week. So it's not. I
You
was
have
very
the Jojo
surprised.
Liu lifestyle.
What'd you say?
You have the Jojo Liu lifestyle.
Who is
You
that?
have a 996.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I don't have that. Oh, what is it? Nine.
Um, I think it's like
Oh,
Jo.
are you talking about the Chinese culture?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I forget what it is, but it's like 9 hours, 6 days a week. 9 to 9, 6 hours,
Yeah,
six
I
days a
don't
week.
have that. 9 to 9 is insane.
Yeah.
I would say that it's not you surprise yourself with how easy it is. It's better than college in a lot of ways because you don't do things at terrible hours.
Yeah. And once you're done with work, you're done with
Yeah,
work.
once you're done with work, you're done with work.
Must be nice.
Yeah, and it does feel pretty satisfying in the sense that it's like, even if I do nothing, like even if I don't accomplish anything with any of my personal goals, at the end of the week, my bank account is still going up. So, no, seriously, like I've started keeping track of my finances because it makes me feel good. Just so I can go like, wow, I finally have more money than I did last week, which was not true for most of the time that I was working, but this year it's been better.
Yeah, I was working like 6 days a week, 10 hours a day back in Florida at my
Yeah,
sister's. Uh, yeah, that was
it was terrible.
yeah. I had very little free time. I felt like not enough to like study anything.
I
Like
think 10 hours a week is a lot.
yeah,
Did you feel yourself drained at the end of the day?
yeah, and I felt like I mean obviously I earn a little bit of money, but like hopefully it'll be different with like my next job. But I felt like I wasn't really learning that much on the job. Um, I didn't really. There were like spaces where there were like no customers at the place or whatever, right? I could just go on my phone, but I couldn't like really try to read a book or anything. It was not like that. So I feel like there was a lot of wasted time going on.
So when I talked to Michael,
Mhm.
it seems like his type of work situation might be more akin with what you'd be looking for. It seems really good for him. He works like a 40-hour week. He makes great money. He does computer science. And one of the benefits is that because he works quickly, and like does things relatively fast, he oftentimes has situations where his workplace is not, because he completes his tasks, they don't give him more tasks in time, so he often has some downtime, and he's working remote. And it is more of that job where it's not how many hours you're there, it's complete this task, right? Because he's salaried. So that seems like something you might be interested in. It is thinking just in like the running metaphor. It's kind of nice. When I used to run a lot, I hated running for time, which is where you'd run for X amount of minutes and then just stop.
Yeah,
And
me
I
too.
yeah, and I loved running for distance when I would just run for X distance and then stop. Even if I was running like 5 to 10 minutes more on average, running for distance was so much better because at least I can complete the task. So, that's my thoughts.
You guys not have history lessons today or no?
Oh, what's the exoplanet of the week?
Oh
Uh,
I
yeah.
don't know. I was kind of
today's
okay. Go.
today's exoplanet is Ogle 2016, and then like a bunch of other digits after that. And it is actually, I think, a suspected rogue planet, which is an exoplanet that doesn't orbit a host star. So it's kind of just floating in the nothingness. And it's interesting because it is about zero point 0.1 Jupiter masses, which means that it is very small because a lot of like these rogue planets are
Did you
actually
say
Jupiter mass
Jupiter
size.
masses?
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
standard of measurement. Um, because anything that's Jupiter is like really big, right? I think it's like 1% of the sun's mass, maybe 10%, 1%. I think 1% is right.
Does not
Something
ten
like that.
percent. It's not 10%.
Yeah, it should be 1%. And anything like a little too larger than Jupiter becomes what they call like a brown dwarf, which is essentially something that failed to become a star, but it's like supermassive. So a lot of these rogue planets are actually brown dwarf type things, probably because their masses make them easier to find. But this one's like really small.
How
Yeah.
did we find it?
I think microlensing, which is where you have like light coming from behind a mass, and because the mass exists, it sort of like bends the light. So you have like two little arcs of light where there should actually be one. Yeah.
But what? How? It's a rogue planet, so it just passed in front of a star somewhere.
No, so the theory is that they form around a star in like the planet forming disk, that some kind of gravitational interaction kicks the planet out from the solar system and then it just like
No,
wanders around the
but
center of the Milky
but
Way.
it must have passed in front of some light, right? So it would have passed in
Yeah,
front of a
yeah.
star.
No, it's like whatever light source. Lots of light sources.
What are other light sources?
Like distant galaxies.
that's technically
Um,
still stars.
Yeah.
yeah, technically stars, but it's not necessarily a single star that it passes in front of.
So we'd see like a distant galaxy, and the distant galaxy's light would bend.
Mm.
And since we know that that is a distant galaxy, we would know that it couldn't be a star orbiting around the distant galaxy or it couldn't be a planet because it's a galaxy. Wow, that's really interesting.
I don't know if I follow that logic.
Because
I also don't know
how
about that.
how far away is it?
I don't remember how far away it is,
Do
but
we know?
it doesn't work that like
Do we actually know how far away it is?
I think we do. I just forget how far it was. But microlensing is from like gravitational lensing, and gravitational lensing was used to sort of detect black holes and things. And it's not that the black hole is orbiting the galaxy, it's that things are like very far away from each other in space,
Yeah.
like wise, right? So you have a
No,
black hole here, and then you have a galaxy like way
no,
back.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I get I understand that.
Okay.
But is it possible that we could misinterpret a signal from a star that is closer and misinterpret a rogue planet? No, we wouldn't, because we would see an actual planet more frequently.
Yeah,
Because
because
you can microlens actual planets in their solar systems, right?
if it's an actual planet in their solar system, it's easier to just do the transit where it passes directly in front of the star, and then you take like a light curve of the star's light, and you'll see like a little
Yeah.
dip in the curve where the star's light is blocked out by the planet passing in front. It's only like a very tiny fraction, but
And microlensing is conceivably even smaller than that.
microlensing is a different technique.
Well, it sounded like it was light.
So microlensing is where the light isn't blocked, it's bent by the gravitational like mass of the star.
Oh, that's crazy. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas in transiting, it's just like blocked.
Okay.
Mm. It's pretty cool.
That is super cool.
Do we have time for history?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we, we
Wait a
have
minute.
we have time. Give me
Well,
something quick.
France.
Uh, France.
I'll give you 2 minutes, so then
Okay,
we.
so France is a country um, in which a lot has happened, and France is a very cool country. There is a lot of storied history in France, and a lot of great battles, a lot of excellent leaders, a lot of great thinkers. All sorts of things have come out of France. Just not so much of it in the last 200 years. So let's not focus on the last 200 years, because the last 200 years is mostly, well, it's much the same in the history of France. Let's instead focus on 1750 to 1817, right? Or 1812. We'll do that. As the time that France was the world's premost power. For a long time in modern history, we think of England as as like the greatest power in the world. There's like America now, and then England in the 19th century, and everyone just thinks kind of like England, Great Britain, and then if you go farther back, it's kind of a crapshoot because no one was really connected, but you'd probably say China. The reality is that in the 18th century, France was considered the center of the world, and everyone thought France was the center of the world in both the 18th and the 19th century. And one of the great tragedies of the world is that when a country is the most dominant, exerts the most. Can I continue even though we stopped?
Yeah. No, that's not the alarm. That's
Oh,
me being told the dinner is
all right.
bad.
Well, you're distracting me.
Sorry.
Um, Even though it's France is an example, and France in the 1750s all the way through the 1820s is an example that the most powerful country and the most technologically advanced country and the most enlightened country with all of the greatest thinkers, and when we think of the Enlightenment, we think of mostly French thinkers, um, uh, cannot actually be the world's premost power, even though all those things are true. Even though everyone thinks France is the center of the world, even though France thinks France is the center of the world, even though France exerts its power like the center of the world, it actually wasn't the most like it didn't make the cut, and that was because it fought a sequence of wars with a sequence of different rulers that all had the exact same result. France, with immense power, wealth, and prosperity, fought a war against a combined group of powers led by England, led by Great Britain, which was a third of the size of France, and against all odds just lost. And it just happened, 3 or 4 times in a row, and in widely varying circumstances. That is a extreme, like conflation, but it happened like 3 or 4 times in a row, and eventually they just kind of faded from their apex, so to speak. Even though they're still a very important country now. It's a good lesson. Don't be France. Sometimes being at the front of the head of the class means that everyone else gangs up on you. So, and if you're not England, sucks. Same thing happened to Spain too. So,
All right.
On that cheerful note, book recs.
I don't have a book rec, unfortunately. So I don't have a new one.
I have one. So this one's called Starting Over by Sugaru Miyake, which this author I recommended before.
Mhm.
Basically, the story's about this 20-year-old, right? For some unknown reason, he's sent back to in time 10 years to when he was 10 years old.
Mhm.
And he has to relive his life, right? Basically,
I
if you're a
love that
normal
genre.
person, huh?
I love that genre.
Oh, I didn't know this genre. Okay. But if you're a normal person, you're like, yes, I get to redo all my regrets and mistakes and stuff, right? But this dude was just he was sort of just bothered by it because it's a major inconvenience because he's like, my first life is so perfect. Why do I have to redo this, right?
That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically his plan is he's gonna do exactly the same thing, just relive his first life
What is
step
it
by step.
called? What is this called?
It's called Starting Over by Shigeru Miyake.
That's really
Um
cool. I'm gonna look
yeah,
into
so
it.
that's like how it begins. And then pretty quickly he like just messes up and has like the worst life ever. So so yeah, that's what the story's about. It's pretty good. And it's very short too, so I enjoyed it.
Do you have a recommendation, Youch? I have to go though, so make it
Oh.
quick.
My recommendation is When the Emperor Was Divine. I totally forget the oldest name. It's about the experience of Japanese internment during World War II.
My recommendation is again the Magnus Archives.
Peace.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for
Peace.
listening.
Yes, thank you for
Bye.
listening, everyone.